Hi everybody. I hope this finds you well. Um, Welcome to or welcome back to my channel. Um, Not a very big channel, but I'm trying to grow it. Uh, so today I make a um, rectangular tiered tray, and I got the original idea from Sammy from Unicorn Dust Designs, and she used picture frames though. So instead of picture frames, I used some Walmart canvas frames, an 8x10 and a 6x8, and paint stir sticks from Lowe's, the giant ones. And I never realized how much better quality the Lowe's were compared to Walmart because I had never used them before. But these things are thick. But anyway, I think it turned out looking really nice. And of course, I used a glass candlestick holder. Is that how you call those things? Is that how you call those things? Anyway, I used that too. And I made a few mistakes along the way, which you'll hear about. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll return. Okay, let's make this thing. I take the two canvases, 6x8 and the 8x10, and two packages of the Lowe's paint stir sticks, which are very nice quality. I'm going to be using these a lot. Every time I go there though, they are out, I will say. They're out of the long ones. Waverly Antique Wax, some Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint, some hot glue, some Gorilla Wood glue, and a pencil, and my cutting mat, my good old greeny cutting mat. So, oh, and the candlestick. I called it a candlestick holder. It's a candlestick. Um, so, normally I try to get the canvas off whole by taking the staples out first, but that wasn't happening. They were in there. And some of them were so far over that I couldn't even cut around them. But anyway, I do save up the canvases. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I've only used, I think, one to date, maybe two. But anyways, pluck those staples out, being careful not to gouge yourself. The first time I ever tried to do that, I couldn't believe people actually get those out without murdering their hands. But anyway, I thought it would look really cute to, be like all wood except for the glass candlestick. And if I had painted it correctly, it would look like wood. But hopefully you don't make the same mistake I do. I forgot to use a chippy brush on it. And, you don't want to paint it. You want it to look like wood grain. So my goal here was to use the same paint sticks for both. Just ignore that. That's where I set it on. Where the actual frame rested. But you're wanting this to be 9 3/8. And anyways, I wanted to use the same paint stir sticks for both the small and the large. So I didn't want to have to cut into another set of paint stir sticks. So that's what my gimmick or whatever is for this video was to do them both, and I do. So the small one is 7.5 inches and the large one is 9 3/8 inches, and I do use my miter saw to cut these. Like I said, I didn't realize the quality difference between the Walmart and the Lowe's. So on this on these paint sticks, I would never be able to cut with my miter shears. I did use my miter saw. I tape them up really well, and then take them out to use the miter saw. I'm still getting used to the saw. I am. It's kind of scary for me when I use it, but it's awesome. Absolutely awesome. So there's your two sizes that you need. So on the small one you only need 4 pieces. I went ahead and cut the 5 down because I already had them, but I wasn't thinking that. So the small one, they barely fit on the back side of that, so you got to squish them together. The bigger one, they kind of have a little room to play, so you have to be careful not, to make sure that they are inside the frame. I don't know how that makes sense. Didn't sound right to me. But anyways, this Waverly Antique Wax can turn an old turd into a polished shoe. I'm not kidding. This frame really did look bad when I started, and when I was done it looked really nice. So I do love this antique wax. It just makes things look so pretty. So pretty. But anyway, the wood pieces, the ruler pieces, the paint stick pieces, you stick them together pretty tight on the small frame to get the 4 pieces to fit. If we would have had to use 5 pieces, we would have had to cut one down, or if we would have had to use 3 pieces, it would have been like 3.5 or 3 3/4 pieces, but they barely will fit the 4 pieces together. And the large frame, there's room that you could actually do the shiplap look on them, but I didn't want them to be different. So sorry about that camera adjusting there. I keep hitting it. I hit the mat and it pushes the camera back. But anyways, you could do the shiplap on the bigger one, but I wanted them to look identical to each other. So I didn't want one to be, have the gaps in between the wood pieces and the other one to not have. So Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint, I use that stuff on everything, like Frank's Red Hot Sauce. I spread that bleep on everything, or however they say it, the old woman. Anyway, I usually like the black paint with the brown wood, but this time I decided to go with the white, and I do like the contrast. I really do. I'm glad I did it this way. So I had to replace my hot glue gun. It bit the dust. The small one, I had the small Sherbonder, and even though it only lasted me maybe 2 or 3 months, I still went with the Sherbonder and got the bigger one. I'm hoping that it'll last me longer than that. So Gorilla Wood Glue, that stuff is so runny. I can't find my Titebond. That seems like it was pretty runny too, so it must just be wood glue. But with the wood glue, it seems like all you have to do is just tip the container upside down. If you squeeze it, you're going to end up with a big mess. So anyways, I laid them out on here first just to make sure that they were all going to fit before I put my first piece down. And then, of course I have some glue coming out on the other end. It wasn't terrible. Wood glue, and then hot glue on the ends. Wood glue in the middle, hot glue on the ends, and I kept putting my finger in it every single time. Seems like I It was seemed awkward to me. I don't know why. If it was just me or what. I'm actually just getting used to having the big gun, so I was putting too much on there, and it was oozing through the other side. There wasn't really a whole lot we could do. We could do. I could do about it. Trust me when I say we, it's a mistake because it's just me and my doggies down here. I had gotten way too much glue. I accidentally squeezed it. That glue just, I mean, it just comes gushing out. All you have to do is just tip the container upside down and it's there. Just move it along. Just wiping off any excess wood glue. And that Surebonder big gun worked beautifully. Just perfectly. I just have to get used to the fact that it's huge. Because I had only used a small gun up until then. I had one other big gun and it leaked so bad that I just didn't want to use it anymore. It was, I mean, just would just run out. And that was a crafter's closet, I believe it's called, from the Dollar General. So here I'm just making sure that they fit on there because, like I said, there was so much room. The difference from the small frame was you barely had enough room on the small frame, and now we had a little bit too much room. So just to make sure that I don't have any gaps that you can see, you know, when you turn this thing over. So I was being very careful to make sure that I just get it where it needs to be. Then once you get that first one down, you know, you just follow suit with the rest of them. And then I do paint the back sides. You know, not that you're ever going to see that, but so let's talk candlestick. I don't know why I lost my freaking mind and didn't use a chippy brush. I paint it with a foam brush and the white chalk paint, and I do the stipple effect, and it turns out, you know, fine with the white chalk paint. And then when I go over it with the Waverly Antique Wax, for some reason I just completely forgot that I had to use the chippy brush. And I used a regular paintbrush, and it did not turn out as good as I would have loved for it to have turned out. But it still looks like wood, but I had to go over it so many times then after that it turned out really dark. A lot darker than the rest of the wood. So, you know, learn from my mistake. Always use a chippy brush when you're using the antique wax. I have a lot of trouble with my glue here. But when you're using the antique wax on something that's not really wood, you have to use a chippy brush on top of your chalk paint or whatever, you know, whatever you put down first. This is turning out really good. I did have a little bit of glue coming through, but you can't really tell it, you know, once the piece is complete, you can't really see the glue. So if you end up with a big glob, just wipe it off, or, you know, chunk it off, however you have to do it. Just be careful, you know, if you use an X-Acto knife or whatever, just be careful with it. So then I wipe off my wood glue and let that dry a little bit before I paint it white. And wipe off my glue. And then just the chalk paint on the back. Just to finish it up. It doesn't have to be perfect, and be careful not to get it on your frame. You don't want to have to try to get chalk paint off your frame. It doesn't recover. I guarantee it. It won't recover. So you'll have that. You'll have to use burnt umber or something on it to try to camouflage it. So foam brush. I think I started off with a regular brush. No, I didn't. See? Anyway, I always make sure I go inside um, the inside areas in case I miss a spot on the outside, then you can't see through it. I guess it really wouldn't have mattered so much since I'm going to be using the Waverly Antique Wax on it. But I've saw, I've seen a lot of crafters. They don't paint the bottom sides of these, and I guess save your paint if you don't have to. But I've just not had good luck with that. Especially doing the stippling, it seems like I always miss something, and it's translucent, so you can't always see exactly what's going on. I don't know, maybe it's just my eyes. But anyways, stipple the paint on. Even though it looks like it's going to be bubbly and chunky and whatnot, it does not. It dries. It looks just fine when it dries. That's why I was apprehensive about ever doing this, because I thought, well, why would I want my paint job to look like that? But it doesn't. It dries flat. It looks flat. Okay, so these cubes from the Dollar Tree, it took me years to find these. I swear it took me a year to find them, and then when I did, I grabbed up 2 packs of them. There were still a lot more, but I grabbed up 2. Not trying to be a hoarder and hoard everything from other people, but really that's the reason probably why I could never find them, because people grab. But I always try not to do that. The tumbling tower blocks, one time I grabbed like 5 packs and I grabbed like 7 packs, but I never grabbed all of what was there. I always left some for someone else. When I saw the cutting mats, I grabbed up 4 of those, or 3 of those. I grabbed up 3 cutting mats, but there were still more. I mean, there was still a whole box of them there. So anyways, I use the little cubes. They're going to be our foots. They're going to be our foots. They're going to be our feet for the tray, and that's why I use the antique wax. If I would have explained that instead of talking. So here I'm making the biggest mistake I made on the project. My brush was stiff from using Mod Podge. Even if you leave it set in water, if you don't get those bristles cleaned out, they tend to stay stiff. So anyways, use a chippy brush. Don't use a regular brush. See, I knew it right away. It wasn't looking right, but my mind didn't process what I was doing wrong. I didn't even think I was doing anything wrong. I don't know about me sometimes. But anyway, use a chippy brush and you'll see it right away. You'll see the wood grain look right away. I'm really sorry to hear about all the tornadoes down south. It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's I don't even know what else to say. It's unbelievable. My heart goes out to all those people, all those lost loved ones. You know, the tragedy's not so much the people that lost their homes, but the people that lost their lives, the people that lost their loved ones. It's irreplaceable. Irreplaceable. All the property that was damaged and whatnot can be rebuilt, but you can't replace the people. And my heart just goes out to all those people that have lost their loved ones. There's the chippy brush. So you want the lines. You want the lines and the unevenness that a chippy brush does, because you want it to look like wood. If I had done that first, my candlestick wouldn't be so dark. It wouldn't have turned out so dark. there. It just looks kind of messy, don't it? Anyway, make sure that you get the bottom and the, you know, all around wherever the white is. So now we're ready to put the feet on. The foots. We're ready to put the foots on. So I just picked the best looking sides out, of course. As you are going to see it, it adds quite a bit to this piece, having the feet. I got way too much glue. Still getting used to that glue gun. When you squeeze the trigger, it comes running. It definitely does. Just making sure I don't have any globs on the outsides. Anyway, those paint sticks are so thick that this piece is very well built. Very well built. It's probably one of the sturdiest things that I've made. Okay, so you measure. I had already done a video where I measured and I marked, and then I messed it all up and had to redo it. So you can see my marks there. I had put the glue on the marks instead of on the candlestick, and that did not work out. So I highly recommend putting your glue onto the candlestick itself, because I got the glue on the outsides, which, you know, obviously my pencil marks were on the outsides of the candlestick. I didn't think about that when I put the glue down, and the glue was on the outside of my candlestick. Doesn't take much sometimes, you know. Anyway, hot glue and Crafter's Closet glue from Dollar General. I like that better than E6000. E6000, I have a heck of a time like getting it out of the container without making a mess. And then, now this glue does smell. The Crafter's Closet glue does smell. It smells like, well, old model glue. But it works. It works very well. It, you know, a good 24 hours. The same as, it's a little bit runnier than E6000. Just a little bit. It's easy to squeeze. E6000, it seems like you got to squeeze your fingers off, and then when you finally get it out, part of it's dried up. And then every time I go to use the E6000, I have to dig a hole in it. Like I have to put a toothpick down in there or a skewer or whatever. So, very important to mark where you want this to set, because you don't want it to be crooked, and you know, by marking it, you just save yourself a lot of trouble. So there it is. I want to thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate you. Please hit like and subscribe if you would. And please come back. See, the candlestick is a little bit darker than the rest of it. Okay, thank you so much.